Good morning. Okay, so my name's Kelly. I'm a full-time tattoo artist, but also I'm a part-time yoga teacher. And I wanted to share with you today some of the yoga adjacent movements that I do on a daily basis to help to keep my neck stuff feeling all right. So there'll be a little bit of kind of stretching and mobility around the neck and the shoulders and a little bit through the spine. And this is the kind of thing that I might not do them all in one go. If I'm perhaps working on a long day sit and I can feel some tension building up somewhere, I can just pick one or two of the exercises from my little sequence and do them while I'm sitting with my client. Just take a 30-second break and stretch out my neck or a shoulder. So once you've kind of got through this sequence a couple of times, you'll get to feel what your body needs and also just become a little bit more aware of how your body is feeling while you're working, which I think is really important for then knowing what to do after a day sit or before a day sit or just twice a day every day, because these exercises are so good for you and you can never really do enough of them. The way that we are living our lives these days is more sedentary than the body is designed to be. And I think really just to keep moving in any way possible is really important, even if it's just little neck and shoulder mobility routines like this one. So before we go ahead and start moving, I just want to reiterate the fact that I am not a doctor, I'm not a physio. If you have any kind of injury or acute pain, that I suggest you go and get that sorted out by someone who is. And this is not in place of any medical care. This is just the sequence that I do to help my neck feel better, to counteract my daily life, my working, my sitting at home drawing, driving, all of that stuff. And this is applicable to many different careers. You don't have to be a tattooist for this to be relevant. You could be a hairdresser, you could be a desk dweller, you could be a driver. All of this stuff is going to be definitely going to have some value for you, and most of these exercises are going to be pretty accessible for you to do throughout your day. So today we're getting into a bit of neck and a bit of shoulder stuff. In my work, these are the bits that tend to get the most obviously tight. The rest of my body suffers as well, but this stuff is the stuff that would really stop me working if I was to build up too much tension there and create some imbalance and some pain. So not only is this good for your own well-being, it's good for your business, because you won't have to take, or hopefully you won't have to take days off or time off because of pain. And you'll be able to deliver a better service to your clients when you're working there and you're suffering. Are we really doing our best work? So I think we owe it to not just ourselves, but to the people that we're working with to be in the best condition that we can be in. As a yoga teacher, I like to kind of immerse myself in these movements and focus on the breath, but you can do these at home while you're watching TV. You can do these in the morning while your kids are having breakfast. You can do this sat at your desk in the middle of a client while your client's having a sugar break or what have you. So let's get on. Let's do some moving. I'm going to do most of these seated with the kind of view to doing them intermittently throughout the day. So the first one is just going to be real simple neck mobility. And I like to hold the bottom of my chair for this, just to kind of brace and pull down with the shoulder heads, slide them down the back. And we're not leaning into the back of the seat. I'm just kind of perching my sit bones on the edge of my chair. Have the seat low enough that your thighs are just a little bit off parallel, so your hips are a tiny bit higher than your knees and your feet are flat on the floor. Taking a deep breath in, just lift up through the crown of the head, and then exhale, bring the chin down to the chest. Try not to move the rest of the spine, so we're just working with the cervical part of the vertebrae, the neck. Notice what you feel there, and then with an inhale, lift the chin up, stretching the throat, but keeping a little bit of space in the back of the neck so you're not collapsing the back of the neck and resting the head back. And then lift from the base of the skull to bring the chin into the top of the throat and to roll down. Think of making as many double chins as you can. And then lifting up. Keeping the base of the skull a little lifted and then stretching through the throat. And we're looking for pain-free range of motion. We don't want to move into anything that causes us any discomfort. You might notice some strong sensation if you have some tightness in these areas. And that's okay. That's just kind of signposts of things that we can work with. Maybe if we have one side tighter than the other, we'll feel that, and then that's just an indication that we need to spend a little bit more time there. And then we'll take a deep breath in the middle, and then exhale. Just take that into rotation over one shoulder. Notice if the shoulders want to shift and move, and keep the hands braced to pull the shoulders down. Again, we're looking for pain-free, and you're looking for the spine just to kind of rotate on its axis. Come back to center and take that to the other side. Quite often when we're working, we're just holding the head in one position. So just something real simple like this to just kind of remind the spine that it does move in all of these ranges is really important. And you can do as many of these as you have time for. Come back to center, and then we'll just take ear towards the shoulder head. Now notice my right shoulder popped up a little bit there, so I'm going to keep that pulling down. I've got a nice grip on my left hand to get as much space between sort of the base of the ear all the way down the traps, and I can feel this all the way down into the insertion of my shoulder muscle here, down in the top of the arm. You might even feel this all the way down into the hand. Come back up to center. Go to the other side. This side feels a lot tighter for me, so maybe if I was doing this in my own practice, I'd stay here a bit longer. I can feel this all the way up the side of my head, which is unpleasant, but again, just a signpost. Do as many of these as you have time for, and then you can add little variations. So you can bring the ear to the shoulder and then just turn the chin down as if you're reaching the chin towards the kind of top of the armpit crease, and then just find a little more lift in the base of the skull. If you find some areas that feel a bit tight, the sensation is quite strong, take a deep breath in and imagine you're breathing into that spot, and then let it go and imagine you're creating space there. If you spent a long time on one side, it's always nice to just use the other hand to support the head back up, and then go to the other side. So we'll take ear towards the shoulder head, turn the chin down a touch, and then just find this lift in the base of the skull, like that side of the skull lifts up and away from the shoulder. We want to stay tall. We don't want to be compressing the bent side of the neck, the shorter side of the neck. We don't want to be making that overly short, so still kind of have this feeling of lifting up. Keep that opposite shoulder dropping down, holding onto the bottom of the chair. And then again, if you've been there a while, support the head and come back up to center. So to get into the upper back and the shoulders a little bit, I really like this one. So you're going to bring the elbows up to shoulder height. You're going to open the shoulders wide. Now you're going to do this without arching the back. So we turn side on. You're going to do this, keeping the spine nice and tall, and then just bring the elbows as wide as you can. Keep reaching the elbows out, away from each other, and then squeeze the muscles between the shoulder blades and on the back of the shoulder joint. And see if you can find a little bit more range, moving the elbows out of your peripheral vision. Take a couple of breaths here, really finding your way into the muscles on the back of the shoulders. Notice what the head is doing. Try and keep that lift in the base of the skull. And then with an exhale, you'll bring the forearms together. So once more, the elbows are as high as the shoulders, and you're connecting like the blade of the hand and the forearm together, and you're really strongly pressing there. So quite often we're working with the chest and the front of the shoulder muscles in a shortened state, but it doesn't mean we're working them strong as well. So this is a really nice exercise to get a little bit more blood flowing there and to build up a little bit of strength. And then you can just move through these with an inhale to open, squeeze the back of the shoulders, and an exhale to press, really pushing the forearms into each other. I like to know what my body looks like under the skin, and it can be a really useful cue. So just go and Google what the shoulder looks like and what do those muscles do, and then to visualize them working as you're doing the exercises. Let's just do one more of these. And then we're going to add on to this one. So we can take this into the upper back a little bit more. You can inhale and lift the heart. Do that with a strong belly. And then exhale, you can round the shoulders a little bit more. And think here of pushing the forearms together, but also away from you. Inhale and open. You're not dropping the head back. Keep the base of the skull a little bit lifted. And then exhale, press the forearms together. And this is something, again, you can do sets of these at home, while you're watching TV, and just finding a little bit more strength and a little bit more movement in these areas. They can get a little bit stagnant. So if we can get the blood flowing, then we can help to kind of free up these tight spots. And so from the next one, we're going to come into an exercise for the scapula. Just going to move my camera a little bit further away because I want to do this one standing up. Not that you can't do it seated, but I prefer this one standing. So come into a standing position. Take your fingertips just to kind of the tops of the thighs. Press down through the feet. Make sure you're standing nice and evenly, and then lift up the lower belly. See if you can keep everything nice and firm in the trunk. And then you're going to slide the shoulder heads forwards. Feel the scapula spreading, the shoulder blades spreading. Lift the elbows up. Squeeze them towards the front of the face. Exhale, sliding back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. And then all the way down. Keeping the shoulders back. And all the way back to the front. And then we'll go the other way. So squeeze them back and down. Up and towards the back of the ears. Up and forwards towards the face. And down in front of the line of the chest. And then back. And you can do this a little bit faster. That one was super slow. Keep breathing. It might not be that you're doing breath to movement, but make sure that the breath does keep flowing through the exercise. This is so nice. Do a couple more. Do one in each direction more. And you might notice that you feel like some rusty bits. You might get some cracks, some crunches. Obviously, these shouldn't be painful, but they might be interesting, and again, a sign that you've got some tension in those areas. And the more you do these, hopefully the more fluid these movements will get. So I think this one is my absolute favourite at the moment that I've been working with, and I like to do this standing. You can do this sitting down. Reaching the arm, one arm down towards the floor on the outside of that same side foot. And then pushing, like you're pushing the hand into a wall. And if you have a handy wall, you can use a wall, definitely, for this. And then imagine that you're trying to pull the fingertips back away from the wall. And this one's so great because not only are we doing cool stuff with the shoulders and the neck, but we're very clawed in the way that we do our daily lives these days, holding our phones, driving, drawing, typing. So the muscles on the top of the forearm and the back of the hand, the extensors, they can get just really lazy and really weak. So by pulling the fingertips up as if we're trying to pull them off the wall, we're going to find some strong strengthening sensation in the top of the forearm and the back of the hand. And you can do this stuff like just in the queue. You might look like a little bit of a weirdo, but in the queue at the supermarket, just practicing pulling the fingers up. It doesn't take long to get quite a lot of blood pumping into those muscles there and feel some good work being done. But in this instance, you're radiating strength through the arms, pushing down, pushing away, pulling the fingers back. And then you're going to bring ear towards shoulder. And then ear towards shoulder. And you might notice some very interesting sensations down that extended arm. Flossing through some of the nerves there, perhaps. Be mindful that you're keeping strength through the arms. Moving the hands away from you in the directions that they're pointing. And then we'll do both sides. And again, do as many as you have time for. So pushing the hand away, pull the fingertips back towards the face. This arm is not lazy, it's reaching down to keep the shoulder away from the ear. And then ear to shoulder. And then ear to shoulder. One side might feel a lot easier. This side feels a lot harder for me today. It only takes a night of sleeping on a pillow that's a little bit too high to get your neck feeling tight and a bit sore. So doing this stuff when you wake up in the morning can be really helpful. And keep pushing through that extended hand. Do as many as you have time for. This next one, we're going to come into like a cat-cow. In yoga, we do this on our hands and knees normally, but we're going to do this using a couch. set the couch to about desk height. So I'm just going to drop mine down a little bit. And with the palms basing down on the top of the couch and your hands about shoulder width apart, sitting up nice and tall. And again, you're just kind of wiggled forwards and you're perched on the edge of your chair. Think of moving the spine from the tail. So take a deep breath in and then exhale, tuck the tail under and ripple through the spine. Keep looking forwards, rounding the upper back and then chin to chest. Now keep the chin on the chest. Begin to rock the pelvis forwards and find that back bend here. Then the shoulder blades move back, the chest lifts, and then at the last moment, the chin lifts, and then tail tucks, and you ripple back through, keeping the chin forwards, tuck the chin down. And just kind of see the movement like a wave traveling up the spine. Keep the hands pressing down, the arms stay strong, and try to imagine each of the individual bones of the spine just kind of slotting into space one at a time. You can go the other way, lifting the chin first, shoulders back, keeping that rounding in the base of the spine until the last moment you tilt the pelvis forwards, and then chin to chest, rounding the upper back, keep the pelvis tilting forwards, draw the belly back, and then you come into that rounded spine. These are so nice to do just a couple of these in the middle of a work day. I totally understand that we can't just stop and drop everything and do a full sequence, but we can definitely find a couple of minutes to just take care of ourselves. And your client will probably look at you and see you doing it and think that it's actually quite a cool thing, that they're looking after themselves, that they're easing up tension in their bodies so they can take better care of me. That energy might not be language, but I definitely think it gets transferred. I'm just going to do another couple of little exercises, and these are this is a real go-to for me. I get a lot of tightness in the front of my shoulders. So this is a really nice one. I'm going to do this standing because the back of the chair can get in the way. So you're going to interlace the hands behind the back. And if you've got really tight shoulders, it might just be that you keep the elbows bent and the thumbs pressing on the base of the back. And then you squeeze the elbows back and in, lift the heart up, kind of like the heart is rising inside the chest. And then you'll feel quite strong sensation in the front of the chest and the shoulders. Even if you have the space to straighten the arms, keeping the arms bent can still be really useful, and it's slightly different. If you want to straighten the arms, you can lengthen through the knuckles, keep squeezing the shoulder blades onto the back, and then imagine you're trying to pull the hands apart, but using the tops of the arm bones. So like you're separating the upper arms as you pull the hands apart, but then maybe you can bring the heel of the hand together. And then from there, if you want a little bit more, you can bend the elbows and then like a little holster, just tuck the hand into the side waist, draw that shoulder down, and then once again, take that ear to shoulder. Having the arm in a slightly different position will just offer you a little bit more. And here, keep squeezing the elbows back. You can experiment with moving the chin down, just a couple of degrees, maybe up a couple of degrees. Take your time here, and then slowly come back to center, release, and take that little holster to the other side. Squeeze the shoulders down, elbows towards each other. This is my sore side today. I definitely slept on some weird pillows last night. That's what happens when you sleep with two dogs. You can never really get comfy, but as long as they're okay. And then you've got those options there to turn the chin down and find the area that feels most medicinal for you. There's no point in just going to a shape that feels really easy. Move into the shape that feels like, if you stay there a bit of time, that it will help to free something up. Come back to center. That's it. I hope some of that brought you some value, and there were some takeaways there to just drop into throughout your working day. And I will be back soon with another one where we're going to get into stuff that we can do for our sort of hips and lower back area while we're working, because that's another really big one that can get a bit stagnant and a bit sore and definitely very imbalanced. So have a lovely rest of your day. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys soon.